Hi, everyone. I'm excited to share that we recorded a special episode of Launchpoint at the CWS Summit in Dallas. I connected with 5 amazing leaders in the contingent workforce space, and we discussed the big shifts shaping our industry.
Welcome to the podcast. Why don't we start out by just having you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, I'm Katy Eddington, and I am our Global Contingent Talent Operations Manager at Netflix. I've been there for about 6 years.
Awesome.
And I love it.
I'm Chris Farmer. I've been in contingent workforce 9 years-ish, something like that. Started out at Gap and then moved from Gap, managed the program at eBay. And then after eBay, Salesforce recruited me, and I've been running Salesforce for about the last 5.5 years.
Stacey McCarthy. I'm the director of the Contingent Workforce Program at PayPal. Been there for about 8.5 years.
Wow.
I came in at an exciting time post the split from eBay as they were kind of building out a program. So it's been great. And before that, I was with GE, and they were starting up a new thing called the Contingent Workforce Program. I needed somebody to sort of run it. I was like, all right, let's do this. So
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so that's my background.
My name is Carrie. I work at and run our program here at Lyft. A little bit about myself. I started on the staffing agency side, and I was a recruiter, and then decided to kind of move my way on. So I went into the MSP realm and then landed on the client side. So I've kind of sat in every seat, which I think for me is I'm a learn by doer, if you will. So it's without not doing some of those jobs that I've done in the past, I don't think it would be as well-rounded of how I think of like from an approach perspective. So I think that's a big thing about myself.
Okay.
But I've been in the space for almost 15 years, and I'm from the Bay Area.
All right, Patti, why don't you just start out by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I've been in sourcing for more years than I'd like to say. I've got a lot of experience in it. I've done a lot of indirect sourcing, every single category you can possibly think of. But where I kind of fell in love with was professional services and contingent labor. So I've managed multiple programs, both internally and externally, anywhere from 1,700 to 4,000 contractors and contingent. And then for professional services, typically between 16 to 24,000.
Oh, wow. It's always interesting to hear the stories because no one as a little kid is like, I can't wait to be in the staffing business.
I know.
Don't even really know what it is, but we all find our path here somehow, and then we end up really enjoying it. So we're at CWS. I understand this is your first time here. So what got you excited about coming to this, and what are you hoping to gain while you're here?
So it's funny because I've been eyeing coming to CWS for years, as I have been in the contingent space. I first got into the contingent space based in Canada, and started in 2008, 2009, and there was nobody. There was the SIA, but I didn't come. We had field class, so I would go to the field class conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Could only go to one conference a year.
Okay.
So that's the one I ended up going to. But what excites me about coming here is that you get to meet your peers.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't that many of us, more than I thought, but there aren't that many of us. And it's a very specialized role. It's a combination of talent acquisition and end-to-end sourcing all combined in one, with the complications of HR and regulatory governance. So that was really exciting, is to meet my peers and really get to know some of our suppliers and just learn the interesting stories and what things are happening and what people are doing in their programs.
Yeah, that's great. And everything is about AI right now.
It is.
And with what you're talking about, the relationship building, the storytelling, that's not where AI really thrives, right? So it's great to have a conference like this to come and do that.
100%.
What excites you about coming to this conference?
Really, I think it's having conversations like this. It's the networking. It is the high school reunion feeling that everyone talks about on LinkedIn, because it is the energy you feel when you walk into the exhibition room. You get to see everyone that you network with all year round, and just have conversations about what's going on in your program. What are you doing today? What are the hot topics? And figure out, what are you doing that I can apply into my program, and how can we solve this together?
That's awesome. Yeah, when you come into the hotel, there's just kind of that buzz, right? Especially around the bar in the evening. It's just that hum of everybody talking and getting to know each other and sharing ideas, which is really amazing. we're at CWS. You've been here a few years in a row, or how long have you been coming to CWS?
This is my 7th.
Okay.
I went to Vegas and San Diego.
Okay.
Like, can we vote to go back to San Diego? Is that
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, there's
'Cause I think Dallas, we're back here next year, but I think everyone's like,
everyone's a little burnt in
yeah,
Dallas.
let's go somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been, I think this is 4th or 5th in a row in Dallas.
Okay. Why do you come? What are you looking for when you're here?
Connection, people, networking. I find unless you've never run a program before, the sessions, for me at least, don't tend to benefit that much. It's more of sitting down with people like you and talking about what are you thinking about in the future? What are you doing with technology? What's kind of off the horizon? What do you think the market's doing? And I find way more market intelligence from that than anything I could ever pay, like Brightfield or whoever else.
Yeah. Yeah. The things that AI can't do, the relationship building, sharing of experiences, the storytelling.
Exactly.
So we're at CWS. You come every year.
So I think I was trying to do the math. I think this is my 4th year. But yeah, I love it. This one is, in my opinion, you get to see the most people, obviously, compared to any other event.
Why do you come to CWS? What do you look forward to most?
I mean, just, obviously seeing all the presentations, understanding the hot topics. I personally don't sit in as many sessions knowing that they're actually recorded. So why sit and waste my time when I can do that at home? Or like, that's a really awesome. Actually, last year I did them as podcasts going into the office.
Yeah.
I was like getting my mindset and like what's going in our space. So I did that last year. And so I was like, I'm doing that again this year. Why waste my time when there's humans in front of me that I could go talk to? So for me, it's the people. Like I don't try to set too many meetings because meetings are hard to keep, time wise. Depends, it's too early in the morning.
Early one.
Yeah. But I think that's the connection is the best. That's how you build trust and relationships and understanding people better as people before, as even a supplier,
So we're here at CWS. Are you coming to these every year, every few years? And when you do come, what are you looking to get out of it?
So I unfortunately haven't come every year.
Okay.
But it's always fun to come back. We have this industry is so small, so it's kind of coming back, seeing your friends and it's almost like family and what everyone's doing now. We just move job to job, right? So that's always exciting. But I think from a just like knowledge and learning perspective, what I've always appreciated is they provide so much that just kind of runs the gambit. Like you never walk away from this conference thinking, oh gosh, it was all so focused on this and I didn't really need to learn about that. So I've always appreciated that, regardless of your program, your size, whatever it is your scope is, you're going to take something away from it.
That's great. Yeah, in the world of AI, there's a lot of talk about AI. One thing AI does not do well is build relationships, have conversations with people, get each other's point of views on things. Have you had conversations so far that have given you a new view or kind of changed your thinking on workforce strategy?
Yeah, I think from a workforce strategy perspective, it's interesting because at PayPal, we're kind of in a unique situation I've learned where we actually sit under our workforce strategy and planning team. So being able to kind of finally not only have a seat at the table, but actually be involved in those discussions to help the business make better decisions has been so pivotal for us, right? I will admit there are many years I felt like Harry Potter in the closet under the stairs. Everyone forgets we're there, right? So it's been great to be able to sit and then also have the data and the analytics and the information to back up and help the business make those decisions and plan better. I think has been the biggest piece, the biggest game changer for us.
So you feel like you really have a seat at the table, and yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then when you think about, everyone's talking about total talent, and my take on that is it's not one thing. Total talent doesn't mean you have to do it this way.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's really about one, how are you looking at what you're spending? And everyone has, it's always been, well, I have headcount budget for FTEs and I have CW budget, but should we really be doing it that way? Should it just be like, here's what I have, this is the work that I need to get done? So we're really looking at the skills-based side of it.
Yeah.
To fill the gaps in what we've been able to do on the FTE side, just this past spring is we built out our skills and capabilities for our entire org.
Wow.
So now we can actually plug in and we can actually see those gaps real time and be able to then fill those on the
That's
CW
amazing.
side.
What
Yeah.
kind of effort goes into building that out? Because that can be pretty
Yeah.
a pretty big undertaking, and and you also have to think about the skills that are going to be needed in the future
Yes.
as well.
Yeah. So it took about 18 months.
Okay.
And before that, I mean, there are years of, you start doing something and then it stops, and then you start it again and it stops because everything's changing, right? You start down a path. And it's interesting because I talk to people who are like, I have a 3-year roadmap. I'm like, how do you do that? Because in 12 months, I'm not going to be doing what we're doing now. Our program will look differently. I hope it does.
Yeah.
So being able to, I think, be agile in the now so that you can be open later. Yeah. So that's what we're doing. But, we're focusing a lot on AI, which is cool.
Yeah, I think the rate of change is incredible right now. And when I'm talking to my team, I'm one of the old folks in the company, and I've been doing this 30 years. And, so you started with, fax machines and pagers and, driving resumes over to clients and things like that. And you look at, that transformation from then until now, and you say, wow, that's a lot of transformation. But I really think the next 5 is going to kind of blow that out of the water with AI. And so how do you prepare your team for this transformation and for this next journey that we know is going to happen really fast? And it has the opportunity to really be dramatic.
Yeah. I think we have really focused on the work smarter piece of it. So we knew, our program went live, and we're now in 48 countries. We did that in 2018. But I think after so many times, we actually got together and we did, a lean event, and we pulled apart our processes, and we actually nicknamed it Project Winchester after the Winchester House. Because you add on, right? Just years and years and years of adding on this and adding on that. And
love it.
You create this huge mass of a mess, right? And you stop understanding the why. Why are we doing this?
Right.
And you look at it, we're like, hey, we have a really, easy process. It's intuitive until you start playing apart. We had 270 process steps in our process.
Wow.
So what we have done is we broke it down. We're getting it down to 70 steps instead of 270 steps, but really with a heavy focus on automation. So we've launched a ton of those in our VMS, simplified a lot of the work. Mm-hmm. And now just being able to be cleaner about what we're doing, the why behind it, and remembering that, we are supporting the business. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you have to be able to figure out how to do that while still being compliant. But, that has been a great part of what we do is, again, going back to sitting down with the business and them telling us, hey, I have to do this, and we get to figure out the why. Mm-hmm. How are you going to do it?
Yeah.
And why are you doing it this way? And being able to ask those questions has been super exciting.
Yeah, you always have to go back to what are we trying to solve for? Mm-hmm. Well, is it broken? Is it we need it better? But that's a good kind of North Star to keep coming back to. Yeah. That's great. Speaking of AI, it seems like everywhere you go and everything you read, it's all about AI. How is it reshaping your workforce strategy and what, what's going to be the most important thing for you and your program to operate?
Yeah, I think there's 2 pieces of it. Obviously, the technology that we use, like a VMS system, which ones have at least indicated that they're putting a lot of stress points into AI and what will be simpler in the future. I think that's going to be really important for at least Lyft. But I also think it was just being ready for the unknowns because we can always all guess that maybe a call center could be agents eventually, or will be agents eventually, but how long does that take? Or, maybe this role that we didn't really expect to go away is now maybe going away, or, you can do half of the job with AI. Mm-hmm. So being prepared for that, because I think that's where contingent workforce labor is going to be, the big hit of what companies don't want to invest the money in now because they've saved half of person resource, and now the other half they can, come to get a contingent worker for part-time even. And I think, either ICs or gig work in some way, obviously, so just being prepared for the inevitable of like, we're going to have random people with like a very specific skill set that we might need to go find. Okay, well, are we set up with all of our suppliers to be able to do that? So I think that's really important.
Yeah, just with the pace of change. And I think we're still just laying some AI infrastructure down right now and figuring out how to use it, but it's really going to accelerate. So roles that are here today might not be there tomorrow, and roles that are coming, we don't have any insight into.
Yeah.
How is it coming into your workforce strategy? How is it starting to shape the thinking of what the future looks like for you all?
Yeah, so we at Salesforce are obviously an agentic enterprise. Like that is our number one focus, Agentforce, really incredible tech. Check it out. And for me, what I'm focused on is building the agentic powered contingent workforce manager in the future.
Okay.
To where you can essentially run your entire program just chatting in Slack with an agent, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you need some tech on the background, like a VMS that's empowered with that to run it. But I do believe that's the future, and that's how we can more effectively manage this whole space, right? Because if you think about it, I have a decent sized team, but if there's tens of thousands of potential hiring managers at Salesforce, for example, how do you help them or teach them or train them or educate them? You essentially can't, because even if you mandate onboarding, training, and all of this, they pretty quickly forget it.
Yeah.
And most of them are like one-offs, right? They hire a contractor once every 3 years, and then they even forget how they did that last time.
Right.
So how do you meet them with the service levels you need to like effectively service them, educate them, and make sure they're doing things compliantly and securely and all that? I think that's where agents are going to solve that for us.
On the keynote this morning, they talked about, TA, talent acquisition, and really a potential future state is talent plus automation, as the TA, and really the blend of people for what people do well, but bringing in the technology and the tools to really make them as productive as possible. And it's changing so fast. Does that require you to, work in an agile type methodology approach? Are you thinking 5 years down the road, or is it really like, I'm looking at the next 12 months because it's changing so fast?
Yeah, so I always have a long-term strategic vision. I think it's just my brain's wired that way. And then I always break that down into what do we do now to get there type of thing. But it's hard because you're in a really fast-paced environment like Salesforce, like I mentioned, to where people love to talk strategy and then immediately forget it because there's the next fire that comes out next week and the week after. And it's always like, hey, remember that thing we were trying to do? Can we also do that?
Yeah.
So I think challenge with that, it's kind of twofold, is you see the technology, you can see where it's going. And I think obviously you're a founder, you're visionary, you have to be that way. But sometimes you're not quite there. Like the tech's not quite there, right?
Yeah.
The organization's not quite there. And so you're kind of like waiting for one of those to catch up or pushing as hard as you can, but sometimes you don't have as much influence depending on what level you're at or if your leadership's bought in. So it's this interesting game of long-term strategy and chess and like absurd patience sometimes of like, there's such better ways to do this if we could just all agree to take the next step or what have you. So
and I feel like we have a good idea of the future and where we're going, but you're right, the technology is not there yet. But for the first time ever, you see really the AI is being able to fuel a lot of that really was out of touch before.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting. I always say that whenever anyone talks about the new technology they've created or flags you down at CWS and it's like, hey, I got to tell you about my new startup or whatever. I always say that if you can't explain to me in 30 seconds how what you do adds value to the industry, and I break the industry down to the as simple as possible. Because to me, it's like, if you can't explain something to me in 30 seconds, I'm not so sure you know what you're talking about. But more specifically in the industry, I firmly believe we all exist to connect contract talent with contract employment opportunities. And that's our whole industry in like A to B. And if you can't tell me how your new tech or AI or whatever you're doing with AI or agents or whatever fits in that A to B or helps any sort of the process along the way, I challenge you may not know what you're talking about, or you just may not really have what you think you have, or because we love tagging things of like, oh my gosh, it's AI, or like, oh, it's automation, or it's like this, or it's that. And it's like, yeah, but what is it really? What's it really value?
Right. Yeah. Well, simple design is very difficult.
Yes.
Right. But when you get there, it's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. when you're here, they're always talking about, the next generation program and the capability maturity model of the programs. In your mind, what are the main characteristics of a successful program?
So I think there's a few things. So number one is understanding who your stakeholders are. A lot of people don't understand that you have multiple stakeholders. I kind of define it as four. One is your executives and leadership, your contractors, your staffing agencies, and the hiring managers, because all four of them need to appreciate and be understood to be able to run a good program. And they all have different needs, and so you kind of have to account for all of them. It goes from there, right? The hiring manager, and I think this is the most critical one. There's a lot of SLAs that you can have, obviously, in the program. And I think the most important SLA, which people, I think, sometimes tend to overlook, and it's a difficult one to actually measure, is can I get the bum in the seat as quick as possible with the right price that the hiring manager wants and appreciates. That's the most I think the most important one. I think the other thing that's really important with hiring managers specifically is to be agile. A lot of I ran both an internal program as well as an external program, and internal first. And so what I learned and what I truly believe is that being agile to what the hiring manager needs is important. One hiring manager may have a completely different need from another hiring manager. One hiring manager may only want one or two people. Another one needs 50 people. And so how do you manage that with the agility to get what they need, what they want as easy as possible for them? And I think that's really important. From a cost perspective, again, you have to manage it appropriately. You have to have the right rate card in place that is at market, because if it's not at market, what happens is people get frustrated with the program and they end up going to professional services. They already go to professional services, but we don't need another reason.
That's another reason,
for them to go to professional services. And then obviously you need to measure the suppliers. Are they performing? Are they attuned to what you need? One of the things I've done in my programs is I've actually used suppliers to help me run the program. So for example, if I need to engage with hiring managers, I have them do it. When I wanted to get statistics on how the contractors were performing, I had the suppliers. I had a KPI with the suppliers that they needed to meet, that X percent of managers were filling out the survey. So I tried to put a lot more work to the suppliers to make sure that not only did they meet their needs, but they also met my needs and the hiring manager's needs.
Yeah, have them be part of the solution and put some skin in the game as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Making sure that they're playing ball. And if they aren't playing ball, they either get penalized or we take them out of the program, but we mean business, but at the same time really act as a partner so that they understand that we want them to be successful.
Yeah.
From a executive and leadership perspective, making them aware of the program, but also, one of the things I did is I made the program, and I think a lot of people have done this, a profit center for the CPO. So something in it for them as well.
Yeah.
Plus, obviously, giving them the statistics of all the different benefits that we created as part.
Yeah, showing the value.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you're talking about that and the four different stakeholders, I'm thinking of a conductor at an orchestra and trying to get everyone working in harmony together. And probably it requires a lot of skills from you to make that happen.
It does. It's not an easy role. It's very, very challenging. And I think that's why people love it so much, because there's always drama. It's always interesting, and you never have the same day twice.
Yeah, new challenges.
Exactly.
All the time.
Yeah.
We keep hearing about in-house MSP or run program versus bringing in an MSP. Where are you at on that?
Yeah, I think it's very personal decision to the company, and it's definitely not a one size fits all approach for
whoever is making that decision. So you can tailor different solutions depending on what makes sense for you. So you can have an internal program where you outsource some of your activities to an MSP, or you can offshore things. You can have a shared service center in your internal program who is doing things, or you can have one person internal who outsources it all to an MSP. I think it just really depends on the company, also where your program sits, also what the values of the organization are. We try to approach things based off of our organization's business bets, and then we align our strategy based on those bets and also what our core competencies are. And so we align what we consider to be the most impactful investment on our team to what those strategies are.
That's awesome. Another thing in that realm is, where does it sit? Is it within HR? Is it procurement? Is it somewhere else? Is it a combination? How about along those lines?
Yeah, again, business decision.
Yeah.
But our program is in HR. We call it talent. And it fits for us because we are people over process. And what that means is we value the aspect of the person and what they're bringing to the table, and encouraging the creativity that comes from not putting rules in place over every decision and not having a process surrounding everything that you do, so that your creativity can flourish and so that you can continue to move the needle forward and continue to be agile in your work. And that's how we keep continuing to not just be competitive, but set the bar for what's next.
Wow, that's awesome. That's great. And the other thing, just with all the change happening right now with AI, with automation, the needle is moving in all different directions right now. What is the value of having agility or agile mindset within your program? Is that critical right now?
Absolutely. AI can't build relationships. It can't predict everything 100% because it's not a human, right? It can't do everything that the human can do. It can definitely be a tool to aid you in your job, absolutely, but it can't take that human decision making out of it. So we definitely use AI, but I think that being able to pivot and be agile with the business and understand truly like what is important to you, why is that important to you, and break things down to its basics and use first principles thinking is really important. And not saying that AI can't necessarily do that or get there eventually. I'm sure in some world it can. But today, I think that there's a lot of human decision-making components that are required there. But I think it's important to keep the human and human resources. And so using AI as a tool is very important to keep you competitive and to keep you agile, but it's not going to completely replace what we do.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. And I think the processes you're looking at today are going to need to change really quickly, and you got to be able to recognize that, move fast, do the proof of concepts, and just really bring that methodology into the organization. Well, thank you very much for coming. It's been really nice having you as a guest on our podcast.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you.